Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast. I'm Gimli and my guests tonight are, first up, he's still the ladies' favourite and co-owner of the podcast, it's Danny the GFP. Hello, mate.
Hello, you cheeky monkey, you.
How does it feel to be back?
Oh, it's like I've died and gone to Highbury.
Well, we're going to have no swearing and racism from you tonight.
Yeah. I think taking the piss out of the Scousers, the Welsh, and people from Southampton doesn't count as racism, does it?
No.
And that was just you doing that, wasn't it?
Oh, wow.
Yes.
We'll move on then. Next up, a man that doesn't need any introductions. He goes by the name of Geoff, and when he talks, the world stands still. Hello, Mr. Geoff Arsenal.
Good evening. How is everybody?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. You know what? It seems like it's been ages since we last spoke.
I think it's been near about a month, hasn't it?
Seems like a long while, mate. I'll tell you that. That's for sure.
Well, I don't know about Danny, but I can certainly say that I've missed you.
I've definitely missed you guys. That's for sure.
Oh. Right. Moving on, a man you're all familiar with, and another Lord. It's Lord Hillwood, or as we know him, Steve. Hello, Steve.
Hi there, good evening from sweltering Poland. It's rather humid and hot here. I'm hoping the podcast is going to be as hot. Nice to be back as well.
Yeah, definitely. Have you got yourself a couple of beers lined up?
No beers. I've had to shut the window because of ambulances and fire engine precautions, because I live right opposite where they set off from. But I've got a big pile of drinks and cigarettes, so I should be fine.
Well, I haven't got the cigarettes tonight, but I'm certainly with you on the drinking spirit. Right. So we'll move on then. And finally, a man whose chocolatey smooth voice will always leave you wanting more. You know him as Efakanaj, but we know him as FK. He's here from Japan. Hello.
Good evening. Very good to be with you boys.
And how you diddling?
Very well, thank you. It's a conference season at work, so I'm living off 3 hours sleep a night. But I'm awake and I'm itching and I'm ready to go.
Well, we much appreciate you coming on and giving us the time, and
pleasure, Gim.
Appreciate you joining our crazy team.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Right, first up, we'll jump straight into the shirt unveiling on Tuesday. Some expected a new face to be modelling in the shirt, and some people were left severely deflated. For thoughts, let's go over to Steve.
Well, I think you've got to sort of set it against the backdrop of the general lack of transfer activity. I think a lot of fans, after Gazidis' announcement that we had money to burn and we could sign Rooney and some, in a hypothetical answer to a hypothetical question from a member of the press, I think that's a lot of people were hyped up over that and they had big expectations. I think the problem is that unfortunately people do not understand how long these deals take, how many parties are involved, how much money's involved, not just in the transfer fee, but the amount of someone's wages and their intellectual property rights and image rights over the length of the contract. And things take time. And unfortunately, buying and selling players, because of those amounts of money have gone up and up and up, it's become like a chain, like house buying. And when you get stuck in a chain, you have to wait for the person at the end of the chain to do their deal so that the deals can progress down the chain. Now, moving on to the shirt unveiling, I think people were led to expect something unusual was going to happen by the phrasing of
audacious stunt.
Yeah, audacious stunt used by the marketing manager. Perhaps that was an unfortunate phrase of words. However, if you look at actually what the objectives of the marketing department would have been, and as a marketing bloke I would know, their objectives would have been to have got that trending on Twitter worldwide. They would have wanted to have got pictures flying around Facebook and social media. They would have wanted it on YouTube. They would have wanted everybody talking about it, and they succeeded in doing that. They presented the English core of the club in the new kit, and you know they're never going to please everybody all of the time. I think marketing people know that, you know, especially with football, because emotions are involved. I think the unfortunate thing was because of the expectation and the hype over transfers and the desperation amongst some quarters in wanting to see a big signing, because people are fed up of the bullshit we've had for the last 8 years. That they want to see that actually there has been the change that was promised. So perhaps that's why people did feel rather put out, shall we say.
And you said about the words audacious stunt used by the marketing team. Were the club right to use those words, FK?
Oh, I don't know. I think I read Charles Allen's tweet. He's the head of marketing of the football club, and I think his words were very audacious stunt. And then he followed that by saying it was months of planning now ready. So obviously, any unsuspecting Arsenal fan, if they were to read that or they'd see that on their timeline, they'd get quite excited by it. And I was one of them. I thought, hang on a second, have they really, gone and pulled something out the bag here? I kind of agree with what Steve was saying, but I disagree with the fact that I don't think they needed to big it up so much, because Arsenal Football Club are a massive football club. You consider our Twitter followers, our global fan base, our Facebook, and all that kind of stuff. And the fact that it was just a kit launch should have been big enough to attract the crowds. But I don't know. I think it kind of shows the shortcomings of the marketing team of Arsenal, because you'd think they'd be really sort of, keeping their ears to the ground as to what the behaviour of people like is on Twitter. And I think they sent Twitter into absolute meltdown. As soon as you mentioned the words audacious stunt, I think everybody started thinking signings. A few people kind of guessed maybe the Dennis Bergkamp statue, but that was quickly... That fire was quickly put out because they said that it was going to happen sort of early in the new season. But it was the months of planning bit, Gim. That's the bit that kind of caught me. And I thought, well, how long did it really take to plan something to be put onto the side of a stadium and to get 6 players together on a day? I don't know. Does it really take months to kind of do that? That's surely just a round table discussion.
In my experience, actually, that takes one person to make a phone call to an outdoor billboard company who send around three guys with their mountaineering equipment, and they change a banner overnight. And that's it.
Well, this is it, Steve, and that's what I mean. I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't disappointed by it. In the end, it turned out to be a pretty decent event. A few, plenty of fans turned up, and they got it all on camera. And like you say, that the point of it was to try and get things trending, try and get people talking about it. There were leaked photos in the evening. I was guilty of retweeting it myself. But yeah, I think the sceptical ones amongst us would maybe criticise Charles for using those strong kind of words, because they did give people false hope.
And over to you, Geoff. What did you think of it?
Well, the guys have covered it really, really well. At the end of the day, in my opinion, it was a good PR stunt. That's all it was. Audacious, I don't know. It would have been audacious a little bit if they would have thought it through, that everybody in Islington would have been asleep at the time they was putting it up, because by the time, it was up on Twitter within 10 minutes of the stuff going up there, wasn't it? So it was a little bit difficult for them to cover it all up. But at the end of the day, I don't mind that the PR department are going down that route, where they are going to try and think up things and be a little bit creative, although I don't know whether it entirely worked with regards to obviously covering everything up. If we wouldn't have seen the Twitter pictures before the event, then it would have been better. But it was a good PR stunt, and that's all you can say. It is really, take it for what it is.
So it was a day that was organised all very, very well then, but in hindsight, to what fans actually wanted, it was a bit of a letdown as to what their end product was. But we'll kind of move on then, and we'll think, what was your overall thoughts on the actual design of the shirt and the actual colours, Danny?
Well, firstly, I'd like to say how excited I was when I saw what had happened with the unveiling, because I thought that, my friend, would make me a wonderful bath sheet. So I'm going to contact the club and see if I can get it off them.
You're hitting us with another nugget of your wisdom there.
I'll tell you what, that will go round me nearly twice. That will keep me snug on those cold winter nights.
Oh,
I go on.
No, I was going to say maybe we could get someone that maybe a listener that's connected with the club to kind of call in and say that there's a man from Cambridge that wants a nice little throw or something, and see if they can't mail it to you.
Yeah, if they could maybe tattoo some stuff on it or some embroidery, it'd come up a right treat. Be lovely. Anyway, back to the kit. I said on Twitter yesterday that all I do is slag the club off and moan about this and moan about that, and I said for 24 hours I'm not going to moan. I wanted a mainly yellow kit that with blue trim, no red, none of that other nonsense, and that's exactly what I've got. So well done, the club. It's an actual shirt that I would say is amongst my 3 or 4 favourite ever Arsenal away shirts. So well done to the club on that. Just shame they don't listen to more stuff more often.
I was going to actually say, is the colour of the shirt a sign that the club are starting to listen to the fans, maybe, Steve?
I don't think it's starting to listen to the fans. I think it's analysing the sales of the purple hooped kit because it didn't sell. Yep. And the fact is that I think they've realised that the fans will only buy what they want. And as much as you can analyse data which tells you that this group of fans or this group of demographics will buy these colours or this looks better with jeans, it comes down to one thing. Football clubs are a brand, but the consumers have got massive emotions connected with that brand and tradition. And if you don't stick to the traditions, the kits don't sell. Hence why all those blue away kits that Nike kept insisted on making never sold. And I think, the new kit, it perfectly fits, goes, right back to 1970-71 Cup final, when the double winning year. It's very reminiscent also of the Invincibles top. And I think it's a great kit and a good way for Nike to say goodbye.
No, I have to say I agree with you on that one. It's going back to our roots. But what do you think, Geoff? Yellow and blue okay for you?
Yeah, different class. The 1971 Cup final shirt is my favourite shirt at Arsenal. It was one of the fondest memories because it was really the first cup final that I was ever interested in, and I was already an Arsenal fan at that stage. But blimey, that when Charlie George got that winner, it was different class. So traditionally, I think it's really, really good, and I like the font of the letters that they used as well. I think that's made it really, really nice. I think it's brilliant, and I love the socks.
Do you think, Geoff, that font is just for the Asian tour? Or do you think that's actually going to be like the cup font?
I'm quite concerned about that. It's true. Someone else mentioned that to me.
I think the font has been done deliberately because it's obviously a custom-made font which they own, and it will help them add a device to all their equipment, which basically means that snide shirts can be spotted quite easily by the police or people who are clamping down on people making fake kits. Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
It did look really nice, and I like the way that the E haven't got the line along the side. I don't know if you've kind of noticed that, but there was a lot of comment on Twitter about it being just for the Asian tour, and that'd be quite disappointing. I quite like the cup lettering that we had last season on those purple shirts, but there you go.
The socks were good, weren't they? Love the socks.
Yeah.
Takes you back to the old days.
But I saw a lot of people on Twitter actually saying that they didn't like the socks, and before you know it, there was a hashtag going up saying Sockgate, and I sat there and do you know what? I thought to myself, really? Our fans call out for a yellow and blue shirt, and then the club give them what they want, and then they're sat there fucking moaning about the colour of the socks and what the design of the socks. It's just really sometimes our fans never cease to amaze me that they're always like to have something to moan about. FK, do you think that's true or?
Yeah, look, you're never going to please everybody with designs of things that mean so much to people. Obviously, people have different tastes. People have different, preferred kits. As we know, when we're putting our profiles together, we've all got different opinions. Personally, I love the fact that we're yellow and blue, traditional. It looks neat. It looks good. The players look good. Stripy socks. I personally have no problem with them, so I'm quite happy with it. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there were a lot of complaints on Twitter about the stripy socks. Wenger out hashtag. but it's a nice kit. I like it.
It is. Yeah. No, I think we're all in agreement that we like it. Then, yeah, fellas.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Jim, just one final point. When they did the unveiling at 3:30, I kind of tweeted a couple of people at the club just sort of asking them if they could maybe consider the timings for future, because I'm not sure how many school kids made it, considering that it was a 3:30 event, and also maybe they should do it a little bit later so people don't have to kind of take time off, and you would have had a much bigger turnout. I don't know what you guys think about that. Do you think 3:30 was a good time?
Was I right in hearing that they actually left a lot of the fans waiting there for a long, long time? Yeah, I do remember seeing a video or something that somebody had written that they took their time about unveiling it in the end, and it was a very hot day, and it was a bit much for some people, but I think genuinely, a lot of people thought it was worthwhile.
Well, I think the timing needs to be considered. First of all, so people can get there from work, and secondly, so school kids can get there. But the other thing is, if you want to get that across, the global fan base, we've got people on other continents who are sitting up waiting to see that, and they really ought to think about a good timing to do it. So, people aren't sat up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
No, I agree. Yeah, it's I don't know, a very good point, right? Geoff?
I'm here, buddy. Yeah, I agree. I think we should be more aware of the global fan base, and we should be thinking about that and change the times a little bit. But I suppose it was nice sunlight. It was a lovely, beautiful day. It might have been a good time to do it.
Yeah. Right, next we'll move on to transfers then, and Geoff, this is your speciality, so we'll start with you. We're all aware of a certain Suárez bid that was made, was it last week or the week before that at the weekend? I'd like to see your take on that then.
Yeah, it was definitely true. It did put a £30 million bid in. I was also told yesterday that they might be going back in and putting another bid in as much as £36 million. I think he's now our main target, along with another one, whether it be Higuain or Rooney. But the problem is that I have a theory that until Cavani moves to whoever he's going to move to, I know he looks like he's going to PSG. I think that's when the transfers they'll start moving on, quicker. Because at the minute, it seems like that everyone don't know whether to stick or twist with different players. Once Cavani moves, then Madrid, because I understand that they're interested in Suárez. If they can then get Suárez instead of us, then we might punt for Higuain. So it's a little bit difficult. I don't know what you guys think.
I heard that Real Madrid were. Someone tweeted, the reliable source, that Real Madrid were talking to Zlatan Ibrahimovic. God, that's easy for you to say. Do anybody think there's any truth to that? I know he's a bit of a mercenary.
Yeah, I've not heard it.
I know he spent most of his playing career offside.
Tancredi, he retweeted something about it. So yeah,
was a Durex with a hole cut in it.
It's interesting. Ibrahimovic has won the league title, I think, at every club he's been to, or something like in 11 years of playing football, he's won 10 league titles or something ridiculous like that. So he's obviously a winner.
Yeah, and we had him for a while, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
There's got to be something wrong there, though, when he keeps on moving clubs. He's a fantastic player, there's no doubt about that. The talent is amazing, But there's obviously something wrong where he has to keep on moving on each time.
It's his personality, Jeff.
Yeah, it must be his personality.
I mean, I heard a story about him when he was playing for somebody and they played AC Milan. And as they flew into the airport, he was having his luggage gone over by the customs people. And he sat there and looked the customs guy dead in the face and said, "I've got a bomb in my luggage,
Oh, what an idiot.
A joke. And he brought the whole of Milan airport to a standstill for 5 hours.
Oh, what an idiot.
Yeah, I'm quite sure AC Milan weren't impressed. I do remember at the time, I think it was Franco Baresi making some rather caustic comments at his expense and calling him a draft dodger as well.
Wow. Yeah.
I know, just to go back to Suárez and Higuain, I know Matt Law tweeted the other day that Arsenal's bid for Suárez could be an attempt to get Real Madrid to, kind of buck up their ideas or give them a little bit of a kick up the arse and get them moving.
I don't know. I think it's more the other way round. I think Arsenal's bid for Suárez is because he really is their main choice, and they really do need to make a decision whether it's Suárez or Higuain or where Madrid. I think they want to get a player on the books before they really release him. There was rumours that Ancelotti wanted to keep him. So I don't know, but I do think that Wenger's his main target is now Luis Suárez at the moment.
But from what I got, I mean, I understood that he wanted to get Higuain and he wanted to pair him with Suárez or Rooney, one of those two. I don't think it's got anything to do with trying to force Real Madrid's hand. As Geoff said, the Cavani deal is the top of the chain in the buying deal, and that's what's holding everything up. You know, because if he moves to Real Madrid, they'll let Higuain go. If he moves to Real Madrid probably won't have the money to buy Suárez.
Yeah.
Therefore, that means it would release him to us, and we could buy Higuain as well because we've certainly got the money. The biggest question out there now for me is, you know, Julio Cesar is rumoured to be going back to Italy, and it's just a difference in wages that needs ironing out for that deal to get done. So that leaves us, as far as I understand, with no keeper target. Although I did see Stoke say the other day that they hadn't had any offers for Begovic in a sort of a, we need some cash, can you come and buy him? And I think if we're looking for a keeper that's got, you know, good experience, who's a big lad, who's been in the Premiership and is used to the hustle and bustle and could play in Europe, I think he'd be a brilliant target for us.
Yeah, I understand that for the conversation I had a little while ago that unless Wenger gets a number one goalkeeper, you know, pardon the pun, and Szczesny be a number two and they can fight it out. Unless he gets a top goalkeeper, he's just going to run with what he's got. But obviously now he's let the other fella go, Don Vito, to Sunderland on loan. Has he gone on loan or is he?
No,
he's permanent. Yeah, okay.
2 million, I think that was, Geoff.
Okay, well we've done well there, I think. Until he's going to have to get another third goalkeeper in for sure, isn't he?
Well, I think to be honest, I think Begovic is a top number one goalkeeper.
Yeah,
and I think he will push. I think he will push Szczesny, and Szczesny needs pushing. But I think the real key to the goalkeeping thing is not just buying a number one top keeper. It's ridding ourselves of Mr. Payton and his services, because he's been sat at the club for years. He's brought out a lot of keepers. They all make the same. All got the same traits, bad habits. They all make the same errors.
Yeah.
And you know, I have to say that, you know, I was sat up one night watching the big match revisited, and I saw this keeper. I thought, my God, it's Almunia's granddad. I didn't have a clue who was playing because I just come in from the pub. And then, of course, at half-time when they put the blooming sides up, and there he was, Mr. Payton, in goal for Leicester, letting in 3 goals at a corner, with a bit of Morris dancing thrown in. You know, so that's really key for me, and I think it's ridiculous. Well, we've got such people like Lehmann, who's done his coaching badges. There's a guy in Poland called Krzysztof Dohan, who taught Dudek, who taught all the good Polish keepers their trade, and he's a big mate of Fabianski's and certainly knows Szczesny's dad. Yeah, but these are sort of people we should be bringing in. If you want a top goalkeeper, they need top coaching.
Well, you look at Steve, you look at Eric Steele, who's just been released by United. I know that he's helping out at Shrewsbury Town at the moment, but here's a guy who took to learning Spanish to try and transform David De Gea's form in the period of 12 months, and what a job he did, and Moyes has gone in and released him, and I'm just surprised that we've not changed our kind of goalkeeping setup, because like you say, all the keepers that we've had since arguably Jens have had similar kind of traits in terms of mistakes and mistakeability, or whatever you want to kind of call it. Just on the note of goalkeepers, if I may, guys, I must be one of very few fans that actually think Szczesny's good enough for us to be goalkeeper, you know, number one. I think there's a couple of things that are wrong with his game, his decision making, his distribution. He could be quicker on that and better on that, and obviously, like you say, he needs to be pushed. I think you bring in someone like Begovic, who's no doubt a top class keeper, you kind of kill Szczesny's career. Now, obviously, the question then is, well, what's more important, Szczesny or Arsenal Football Club? That's for people to decide. But I think we missed a trick in missing out on Mark Schwarzer. You know, World Cup. Yeah, well, honestly, I got a lot of stick for tweeting that a few weeks back, but it's World Cup year. He was on a free transfer. We wanted him before. He's experienced in the Premier League, and he's the sort of person. I think he's a professional. You never hear anything bad about him. And I think you could have maybe pushed him
as well.
I mean, I've not had the fortune of meeting him, but I'm sure you're right, Steve. It's just, I just think that we really missed a trick there, and I don't know what he's doing at Chelsea, because I can't see him ousting Peter Cech at that club. And Julio Cesar, I understand, or I read somewhere that Napoli have signed another goalkeeper just yesterday, so he might still be available, but he's on holiday or something. I don't know. Well,
Steve mentioned Jens Lehmann, and I had a bit of interesting news earlier on in the week that Jens Lehmann, because that goalkeeping conversation and the coaching did come up, and I did mention Jens Lehmann because he was over at Arsenal finishing his UEFA coaching badges, and apparently he doesn't want to be a goalkeeping coach. He wants to be a coach, as you know, a general coach, rather than just a goalkeeping coach. But going back to that with the keepers. You remember, I agree about Szczesny. I really do fancy him. I think he could be a top goalkeeper, but he hasn't improved since he moved up to the first team. Now I've got what I think has gone wrong there. Tony Roberts, the goalkeeping coach, who's still at Arsenal as well. He had him since he was 16, and that's where he made most of his improvement. And I know for a fact that ever since he's been into the first team setup and Jerry Payton has taken over, he doesn't enjoy his training, and he feels that he doesn't. He's not. Well, I think he had an outburst a little while ago, didn't he? He doesn't enjoy his training, and he doesn't also feel he's learning anything, under whatever they're doing at the moment. And if we could only, he was doing well under Tony Roberts. I think Tony Roberts should maybe take over again and carry on with him, because he was making great improvement.
Yeah, I would agree. Sorry, Gim. I'd agree with that, Geoff. But I think something that I saw last season in Szczesny's performances were that he began to make some match-winning saves. I know we had a few. We had, I think, 8 or 9 1-0s in the league. I know he made a couple of mistakes, so his concentration he kind of needs to work on. But this is a side to his game that he's just started to kind of creep in, and ultimately, during a time where we've been so frail defensively, I think he's kept something like 44 clean sheets in just over 100 games for the club, which isn't to be scoffed at. But you're right, he needs to improve. He needs to be pushed. I just think, as Steve suggested, I'd be very happy with someone like Begovic coming in, but you kind of kill off his career if you do that.
But I don't agree. Szczesny's only he's 21 or 22. Begovic is 28.
Like
23.
Yeah, I was going to try and bring Danny in and just see what Danny. What do you make of this? You've been quiet for a few minutes.
Yeah, well, I'll do my transfers thing, and we've let go of Vito Manone. He went to Sunderland, and then we've also let go Reece Charles Cook and James Shear, so that's 3 goalkeepers we've got rid of. And didn't we re-sign Fabianski because his contract was coming up, but we've re-signed him, so we've got 2 first-team goalkeepers in Szczesny and Fabianski. Then we got
Fabianski's contract expires next year, doesn't it?
I wasn't sure whether he would gone or whether he'd signed a 1-year extension. I don't
think he has, because I was asking the Polish Gooners over here to see if they can find out whether he did or not, and they all came back and said no, it expires next year.
Yeah, he's got 1 year left.
Because there was a few sites that have details of all the contracts, and they were saying a few of them said that his contract ended in 2013. So obviously doesn't end in 2014, but I think he's a good understudy. But in the reserves, we got the Argentinian bloke
Martinez.
And then we got that the Dejan Iliev. So we got a couple there, but I agree with FK completely that I wanted Mark Schwarzer to come in, because my mate on Twitter, Scott Thompson, is an Australian, and I'm sure he said he went to see the last Australia game. And he said Schwarzer played out of his skin. He was fantastic. And he's, unlike most older goalkeepers, he played the entire season for Fulham last season. And he would have been a great understudy to pass on his knowledge, because not only has he played in the Premiership for ages, but he's been a full international for ages. I think he's around 100 caps for Australia. And considering most people that play in this country don't always want to travel that far for international games, I know the Brazilians bring over their international games to Europe so that their best players will get a game. But yeah, I think Begovic is good, and he's a good goalkeeper. But I don't want someone to come in and ruin Lucas, because he's loyal to the club. Lucas.
Wojciech.
I always refer to him as Wazza.
Talking like you're on first names term with him, Danny.
My old mate Wazza. I don't want to do anything that will possibly harm Szczesny's future career, so I'd like to get someone in with a bit of experience. But the move of Cesar to Napoli, I had read that it's only going to be a 1-year loan deal, because they were expecting to get straight back in the Premier League.
See, I still think, and I've actually heard that the Cesar deal is still on. There's some jerk on Twitter that keeps pushing me for it. And I actually tweeted, I think it was early July, that the club were looking at him. Something could be done, and it was a case of when he got back from the Confed Cup, he would sign or be announced. And I thought that maybe, just maybe, they might do something in or around this time, but it hasn't materialised. I do still think that it could happen, but, I guess we'll see. But what I will do is, if we've all manager of Arsenal Football Club, and we could all go out and sign a backup, whether it be a first team or a backup keeper, realistically, to play in the team. So we'll start off and we'll go straight over to Danny. Who would you sign?
Oh, I've got no idea. I mean, I wouldn't sign anyone. I'd just make it clear it's my old mate Wazza and Lucas. I say, there you go, you two sort it out between you. And I think that's good enough. I mean, they're both Polish. They're both born on the same day, different years, and I think between them we've got it covered. I wouldn't want to risk it by upsetting them.
A realistic purchase would be Begovic. I think he's a fantastic keeper. He's very experienced, commands the box really well. He looks unsightly, so to speak. So I think that's what we need. We need someone that can push out. That you've got to push them. Otherwise, they're never going to get anywhere, are they?
No, very true. And Steve?
Well, the Julio Cesar deal makes a lot of sense to me. He's a guy who plays for Brazil. He's played, in the Premiership one season. He's also played in other leagues as well. A lot of experience, could teach those young guys a lot, and would push Szczęsny. I don't believe Fabianski's going to stay at the club, and I don't actually rate Fabianski. I think he's a flapper, and I think he's a keeper that makes costly errors. And I think, as FK said, Szczęsny went through a big period of last season making some, huge saves. One of those was in the derby against Spurs. And, he's gained us points. And, you want to keep him there. You want to keep encouraging. For me, it would make sense to bring in someone like Cesar, but bring in a new goalkeeping coach as well.
Okay, and finally, FK.
Again, I think Steve just summed it up. Cesar, without question, is a very sensible decision. If we get him, then great. If not, I'd like to see us stick with the two that we've got, let them fight out. And let's not forget, Fabianski came back towards the end of last season, had a handful of games and actually played really well. But more importantly, let's get a new coach, or let's change what we're doing, because, like we say, the same mistakes year on year. And there's a couple of really obvious things that Szczęsny needs to kind of work at his game, and he'd be a brilliant goalkeeper.
Fantastic. Right, we'll go back over to Geoff, and I know that there'll be a few that have asked me questions on Fellaini that will absolutely string me up if I don't pull you to task on it, Jeffrey. So I have to ask you, I know that there was interest in Fellaini. Is that interest now past?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. There's also definite interest in Cesc.
We're getting there. We're going to get there.
You make me so happy, Geoff.
There's definite interest in Cesc, but it's like I said on Twitter, it's complicated. So again, it's another stick or twist thing. I don't think you're going to buy both of them, to be honest with you. I know they're not exactly in the same position, but you can't have. You've got so many midfield players, So I don't think they're going to buy both of them. It'll be maybe one or the other, or maybe somebody else. So I can't really tell you. I don't know. I really don't know. I wish I could.
It's interesting, Geoff, because obviously defensively we had the second best defensive record in the league, if I recall correctly, last season. And actually, I think we had a problem with trying to create chances. I know we only had one proper out-and-out striker, but we didn't score as many goals as maybe we should have or could have. Cesc, for me, everyone knows I love Cesc. I would love to see him back. I think there's a lot of truth to the stuff that we've been reading recently, but like you say, it's complicated and only time will tell.
No, definitely. And the last question that I'm going to ask you on this whole transfer thing is, and it's another kind of managerial question, very much similar to what we've done with the goalkeepers. You've got your three strikers in Higuain, Rooney and Suárez. You can pick two, and I want why. So we will go to Steve first.
I will pick Suárez and Higuain.
Okay, and why would that be?
I think you only got to look at the way Suárez plays and what he does for Liverpool. I mean, he makes that team. Without him, I mean, they'd be in the near to the bottom four. He's a guy who can take people on. He can twist and turn. He's a defender's utter nightmare. Never mind the fact he might bite you as well. But the guy is an utter nightmare, and some of the goals he's scored is exquisite. People say he misses a lot of chances, but he makes a lot of chances, and he makes them for himself, and he makes them for other people. And I think you've got to look at, people always look at players at the teams they're in now, and they don't realise how much they're going to improve by being put in the Arsenal team, with the standard of passing being better, the movement being better. I just think, you put him up front with Higuain, who's another guy who'll drift across the line, he'll pull players all over the place, he can spin and score from outside the box. He gets in the box, he's a great finisher. He's a hard worker. But both those players have got a lot of skill, and I think that those two would make a really good relationship, a really good level of understanding. Now, you suddenly add into that Sanya's crossing, Walcott cutting inside people and sliding the ball in, or them being found by midfielders with the through ball. You're looking at a lot of goal scoring chances there, and Higuain is a finisher, and he's going to take a lot of those. And that's if you want to say anything that Arsene Wenger's team have lacked, number one, the defence has been poor at times, and the second thing's been we've created loads of chances, but we haven't been ruthless enough and took them all. And I think those two are going to add that ruthless edge. And I just think, for me, and I'd like to hear Geoff's opinion on this, but I just think for me that Rooney in London is a disaster waiting to happen, and it's a lot of money to pay for someone to go and become the next Gazza or George Best, to be honest.
Fair enough. With that said, over to you, Geoff.
Personally, I would like Suárez and Higuain for a lot of the stuff what Steve just said there. I'd have Suárez as a number 10 though, to be honest with you, and a Higuain straight down the middle, up the top. I think he's got fantastic pace, Higuain, great finisher. He'll get you bags of goals. Still very, very young for a forward. Suárez, he has really come on the last 18 months for sure. Different class, isn't he? He's going to be difficult to handle, but I think he's you'll get that with a lot of them players when they've got that raw talent that they're not wired up absolutely right, are they? You get a lot of them players that are quite like it. He would get you goals from everywhere, Suárez. He's very, very tricky, and he's definitely one of the top strikers in the world at the moment. There's no doubt about it.
I tweeted the other day that I remember a quote from him saying that when he gets on the football pitch, he's a born winner and he would do everything within his power to win. I think that was a quote to do with something when he handballed the line against Ghana. Was it Ghana?
Correct, one of the Africans, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but do you not think as a club, and we will get back to the main question and ask FK and Danny, that as a club we have lacked someone that just takes the game by the horns and is just a pure fighter. I mean, Jack has shown it in bursts, but just someone like Suárez that anything to win at all costs, it doesn't matter. But anyway, FK.
Yes, sir.
Over to you. Your two.
For me, Suárez and Rooney all day long. I mean, I like Higuain. I think he's a good player, but with those two, you've got absolutely superb footballers that are proven in the Premier League. Now, Wayne Rooney is a wounded animal. He'd have a point to prove. On his day, absolutely unplayable. He's won title after title. I know the English lads at the Arsenal are very, very fond of him. And I think that they would quite like, and the way they kind of link up at international level is quite exciting. So Rooney for me would be outstanding. Suárez, ignoring the off the field issues, and I know they're quite significant for a lot of people, but you cannot doubt his footballing ability. He's just a magic footballer, a goal scoring machine, and the fact that you have with those two, not only do they both create goals, score goals, but they are team players. They do whatever it takes to kind of win. And imagine those two lining up in the tunnel. The fear factor for the opposition team would just be phenomenal. And also, you can't forget Giroud. I mean, he had a decent season for me last season, and he offers something different to what those two do. So if I could have my choice out of those three, I would go for Suárez and Rooney all day long.
Am I right in saying that you were speaking to someone this week who said something about Suárez? Am I correct?
Did, yeah. We had a work conference where Aon were exhibiting, and Lee Sharp was their guest. Kind of spoke about a couple of things. We spoke about United and Fergie and Rooney. Some of the stuff I can't really repeat, but he did say that from people within the game, he's convinced that Suárez to Arsenal was definitely on, and that if he was, if he had to pick a club for where Suárez would end up, it would definitely be Arsenal. Make of that what you will, for what it's worth. I got a lot of stick for it yesterday, but his words, not mine.
Well, I have to say, from my perspective, I'm very, very moist just sat here. Danny, your two and why? Because I know it won't be Rooney because of game 50. So
there you go. Then there's no point even mentioning it. But I'm a cosmopolitan man. I love my European football, and I remember the season with Ajax where he scored 49 goals in 48 games, and that was just an outstanding season. And looking at him, how many players in the Premier League, when you're playing against them, worry you? There isn't that many, is there?
No.
Every time he plays against us, I'm worried that he is, not for my own safety or my players' safety, I'm worried that he's going to score goals. And I don't care who he bites, I don't care who he kicks or anything like that, or how much he dives. He's a fantastic player, and he has single-handedly made Liverpool look like a half-decent team. So what could he do with a team that is already better than half-decent? He could come along, he could make 30 goals a season, maybe in the Premier League on his own. He's that kind of player.
But to challenge that quickly, he's still got a ban that's in effect. That how many games would that see him ruled out for?
Well, it was originally 10, and he had 2 from the end of last season, so he isn't going to play until, what's that going to be, November?
Yeah, because he's not ruled out of the Champions League, is he? He's still eligible for the Champions League.
And we have got 2 extra games in the Champions League, haven't we?
Which he would come in very helpful for.
We can go and spank some team, Kuzilati or something like that.
Ochapedipediev.
Yeah, so I'm just looking. If he's going to miss 8 Premier League games, he's going to miss Villa, Fulham, the Yids, Sunderland, Stoke, Swansea, and miss West Brom and Norwich, and be back for Palace, then Liverpool, then Man United, then Southampton, then Cardiff. But that's without taking into consideration BT and Sky mucking around with the schedules like they usually do. But it looks like his second or third game back could be against the Scousers, which would be interesting. But yeah, I wouldn't have Rooney. I'd be absolutely disgusted if he signed for the club. Don't like him as a person. He's a nightmare. Like Steve said, he's a nightmare waiting to happen, and he's just a horrible, horrible human being.
He's done all right every time he visits London and scores a couple, puts in a goal past us every
I would rather get our good mate Omar Rizza. I'd rather have him up front than have Rooney.
Who will be on the show?
Oh, that was a good link. Who's the 2 you'd pick then, Mr. Gimli?
Who did?
ED hasn't thought about it, has he?
No. I only ask the questions. I don't actually think about the questions. I would probably go. I'd go Rooney and Suárez, actually.
Piss off.
I would. Although there's a part of me that thinks Santi Cazorla behind Higuain would just. Let's just think about that for a moment.
Is nobody worried that if we did sign 2, what's it going to mean for Podolski? He isn't going to go.
Strength in depth, Danny. Strength in depth.
Let's worry about that when it happens, Danny.
Exactly.
I think
if it happens.
Yeah. So okay then, right. We've done strikers, we've done goalkeepers. We haven't touched on defenders, but we are going to touch on defensive midfielders. Steve?
Yeah, it's quite a curious one, this, because I think it's clear that we all know that we're too midgety in midfield, that we get knocked off the ball too easily, that we've got no one that can sit and help out the centre halves and the defence at dead balls, and that we lack drive and we lack aggression in midfield. And, obviously Fellaini was one of the targets up there. There's another French guy called Zondogbia, I think his name is.
Zondogbia,
yeah. And those players, that for me is more of an important buy than it is signing someone else other than Suárez. And at the end of the day, the Cesc deal, this is what worries me. I've got 2 concerns over this Cesc deal. Let's suppose, yes, as Geoff says, it's complicated. Let's suppose for 1 second it's going to work out, and that means we don't get a defensive midfielder. Well, I'm casting my back time to when Cesc was playing with us, and we used to leak a horrendous amount of goals, and we had too many midgety types then, and we still have now, and we're still not going to get that drive in the midfield. The other thing that concerns me is, if you're Jack Wilshere sat there, and you've just come back after a year and a half of on and off injuries, and you're really, building yourself up. I'm coming back. I'm going to have my first full season. I want to try, and play in the majority of games. What's he going to think of Cesc if Cesc came back? Will he seriously think to himself, well, how much longer have I got to wait? Because, I can't see you playing Jack and Cesc together if you don't have Fellaini behind them.
No. FK?
Well, look, if we lived in a dream world, Fellaini is is an excellent player. He's probably the best player that I saw live last season from an opposition team. The ball stuck to him like glue, commanded the midfield, and he's just a powerhouse. I would love him in the team. Don't know where you'd play him. Personally, I think, as I mentioned before, our defensive record was pretty good last year, and I think it's because the team's learning how to defend rather than relying on two centre-backs or a central defensive midfielder. So I'd have Cesc all day long. It does concern me, though, midfield-wise. I think we've had like the biggest clear-out that I can remember in a long time, and we've just let Coquelin go on loan. So whether that means Frimpong gets a chance, I have no idea. Diaby, you can't really kind of rely on him. So, yeah, we're a bit short, and I'd agree with Steve. I think a natural defensive midfielder would be great, but Fellaini would be man of choice. I think he's brilliant.
I think we all also have to take into the account that Danny said a couple of months ago that someone that could fill that role would be Thomas Vermaelen. But recently, I think it's within the last 24 hours, it's come out that he's got a back injury. He won't be going to Asia, and he'll probably miss the first couple of games of the season. Geoff, what do you think?
I'd love to see Fellaini at the club. He's Premiership made. I mean, you've all seen how he's dominated games. I mean, that game at the Emirates against us, he was different. He was different class, wasn't he?
Outstanding.
If we get Cesc, I can also see Jack Wilshere dropping in and playing as a defensive midfield player. I really can. His ball retention's great. Some people would like to see Jack as a number 10. I don't really see Jack ever being a number 10.
I agree, Geoff.
Yeah, he's either a midfield player, box-to-box midfield player, or he's a defensive midfield player. I think he could sit in there, Jack, and do a fantastic job and let Cesc go away and do what he's got to do,
It's actually funny. I was speaking to a good friend of ours, David Hillier, the other day, who's going to be running a show on Arsenal TV Online, who the basis of his show is going to be with all this technology that's spent on learning passes and how much a player has run in the game. He said that he was working out all the stats, or he had all the stats in front of him. And you've got players like Aaron Ramsey who have such a hard time from the fans, who is actually top of most of the leaderboards in the stats, whereas you've got Jack Wilshere, who's absolutely idolised, who's not anywhere close in comparison, to Ramsey. I mean, I don't know what you make of that, Danny.
Well, first of all, I'd like to go a little bit number wang on everyone's arses, and
that's number wang.
That's number wang, and do the conspiracy that really interested me. Diaby has lost the number 2. Now, if Mertesacker gets number 2, that frees up the number 4, which is Cesc's number. But also, our other right back, I said Koscielny then, the corporal. What if he went to number 2? Do you know what his squad number is that he'd free up? 25. And who plays at 25 at Everton? Fellaini. So it's written in the stars. I've had a word with Russell Grant, and he says yes.
Danny, while you're tapping about there, can you have a look on Wiki and see when Matteo Flamini's contract is up at Milan?
It's up, Geoff. He's on a free.
Yeah, he wants to come back to the
last season, Milan let him go on a free transfer, and then he re-signed with Milan at half the wages, and now they've let him go again. And I think they've offered him a contract. He doesn't want it. He wants to come back to England. He said he wants to win the Premier League and the Champions League.
Would you honestly take it back, Geoff?
No.
Would I take him back? He's got fantastic experience. I don't think it will do any damage, but not really. No, I wouldn't. I think we got to look for bigger and better things than Flamini for now, don't you?
I think so.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. But going back to Fellaini, this season he scored 12 goals. And he is the kind of player that you can say, like in the old days, we had Keown would always be, and Adams would always, one of them, or Campbell would go up for the corners. So you could
He's a handful.
You could say to Fellaini, you go up for the corners, and when that's done, you get back and you defend, which he can do. He'll run up and down that pitch all day. Defensive midfielder, up for the corners. He's an imposing figure. I think he's a marquee signing. He is part of what I think is one of the emerging European nations of Belgium, with the amount of top quality players they've got playing for Belgium at the moment. I think it might even make Vermaelen a little bit happy, because he's a teammate with him at international level. And just think the amount of money the club could make on red and white afro wigs.
And let's not forget last season he laid the nut on Shitcross twice.
You know what's amazing? You know, I can't believe that Everton haven't received a formal bid from anybody at the moment for Fellaini.
It's 30 million the release clause, or is it 23 million?
Or 24, wasn't it?
Yeah, 20. Oh, I don't know. Well, whoever knows, but I think he's worth £23 million easy. I really do. In today's market.
As far as I understood that release clause runs out on the 1st of August, and I think they may well have received bids, but they might well be stalling so that the release clause runs out, so they'll get more money.
I would say there is one problem with him. Beginning of last season, he played his arse off and had a fantastic start to the season. Come Christmas time, he started to get a bit big-headed when it was coming up to the January transfer window, and then he had a bit of a slack bit for maybe a month or 6 weeks. But then at the end of the season, he picked up again. So do you reckon he's got? He thinks he's brilliant. Attitude problem?
It's difficult, Danny, because there's a whole conspiracy about David Moyes. He kind of knew that he was maybe going to move on. Maybe he kind of caught wind of that. And at the end of the day, when clubs like United and Arsenal and whoever are being linked to it, and I remember when Lampard wasn't getting a contract, there was a lot of talk about Chelsea getting him, and that kind of turns your head, and you can't kind of blame him for that. At the end of the day, he's just a footballer who wants to play for a top club. I don't know if he'd be a handful. All I know is on the pitch, he's an absolute monster. And he'd be absolutely welcome in my eyes.
He's still only 25.
Is he that young?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Right, so I think we're getting to the point where we're about to wrap this up then. But we'll just finish up because I've told Danny to get all the dates for the Asia Tour and the opponents on his computer screen. So we'll go over to Danny and he's going to enlighten you on what the games are, who we're playing and what time and when.
So 12th of July you have Sutton United v Arsenal under 21, because bugger all of these are going to be in the UK, so I thought I'd include the under 21 games. That's on the 12th of July. 14th of July, and this is the actual, what they're calling it, Indonesia Dream Team. Now, I would have thought Indonesia would struggle. If you're in Indonesia, I'm sorry, but I couldn't name one Indonesian player. So does that mean they're going to be having players that aren't just from Indonesia?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, so that's the 14th of July in Jakarta. 17th of July, Vietnam v Arsenal in Hanoi. So that's...
Bless you.
Yeah, thank you very much. 20th of July, Boreham Wood v Arsenal. So that's another one we can go to and get ripped off by them telling us probably tell Boreham Wood that, oh yeah, everyone's going to be coming. You get there and find out it's going to be Fabianski and some socks. Then the 22nd of July, we have got Nagoya Grampus. Used to be 8, but not anymore. So that's Dejan Stojkovic's team.
Is that Arsene's old club?
Yeah, because Dejan's been there and he's done bugger all in this season. They're mid-table. This is partway through their season. 26th of July, Urawa Red Diamonds, another Japanese team. Don't know what you're going to do with those. I won't be going to either of those.
The other week, absolutely rubbish.
Yeah, I won't be out there. 30th of July, one that I like to see, Leyton Orient. The under-21s are going there. Bit disappointed they're not playing Barnet anymore, but that stopped a few years ago. And then we've got our trophy that we're hopefully going to win on the 3rd of August. We've got Napoli, and so we might be able to see Caesar play for one of those two teams. Also on the 3rd of July, you got Arsenal's under 21 going to Luton Town, and then 4th of July, August, 4th of August, we're playing Galatasaray. Good God. If you're going to that, bring a stab vest.
Oh, God.
And then
Danny, you can't say that.
You've got the bloody edit button.
And then on the 10th of August, we're playing Man City in Helsinki. Is that right?
Yeah, no, that's right.
Fucking hell. What's the point in that?
You sounded. Have you actually done your homework on this? Are you just reading it and going, really?
I'm reading it from my own bloody site. If anyone wants to go and have a look, I've actually put Arsenal v Turkey in brackets Galatasaray, so it should be the other way around. I think I'm not even going to go into the whole Galatasaray thing, but if you see any Leeds fans there, don't annoy them because they'll be busy. They'll have something else on their mind. There's going to be trouble at that game.
Oh my word. I was going to say, for all of you that don't actually want to read that on Arsenal.com, since their current update on the site that I can't say I personally like, where are you getting these games from, Danny?
Oh, it's this really nice site. Geoff's a member, and he's a silent member on there. It's the highburyinn.co.uk. But if you just go to Google and type that in.
I do believe we've heard of that site before, and I hear it's quite popular. I think I'm a member as well, aren't I?
How many times have you posted? It's got to be more than Geoff.
Oh, I think I've posted once just to say hello.
And how many times have you posted, Geoff? Still biding your time.
I'm scratching my chin as we speak, Danny.
You can tell that really grips his shit, can't you? It really does.
And not only that, at the top of the site it says the Highbury Inn, and then in brackets, if you build it, they will come. In brackets, Geoff Arsenal 2013 should be asterisks. They will come, but Geoff won't be coming.
Yeah.
No, he might come, but he really won't post anything.
No, just have a look around. I'm sure you look all the time, don't you, Geoff? And you love it.
All the time, honestly, I love it. Different class. It really is.
Thank you. Yeah, so that sort of thing. So basically, if you want to see Arsenal play, and you've either got to go all the way to Japan, all the way to Southeast Asia, or go and probably get a nice something penguin sandwich in Finland. Why the hell are we playing in Finland?
I have no idea, but we'll move on and we'll end the podcast with some shout outs. So who wants to be put on the spot first? I'm going FK.
Ooh, that's a good one. Do you know what? There's just one shout out for me, and it's a guy called Samuel. I think everyone kind of follows him. And the reason why I'm giving him a shout out, Samuel J29060. He's got loads and loads of followers, but his finger is just on the pulse all day long. The boy tweets about football, all clubs, all stories, Arsenal in particular. He's an Arsenal fan. I don't know where he gets the time from, where he gets the energy from, but he's just so quick off the mark. He's a brilliant follow. So Samuel J29060, you're the one for me this week.
Okay, and Steve?
I'm not going to give a shout out to anybody. I'd just like to thank all the people that have been reading my blog recently, all 15,000 of them. And all the lunatics who follow and listen to my inane ramblings all day on Twitter.
And there will be a link to Steve's blog on the links on the Bergkampwonderland.co.uk webpage, because I've just sent those to Darren to put them on the links, and so yours is one of the blogs, Steve.
Brilliant blogs and all. Promise you, very, very, very informative about the club.
And you know, if Geoff says it, it's true.
Yeah, it doesn't mean he's going to look, though.
No, I've seen them. They're fantastic, honestly.
Right. Danny?
Right, there's a few people. I'll say one hello to one person that I want to say hello to, and that's I'll give it Alonso Spencer, who is at the Al Spencer, good mate of ours, lovely bloke. And then another one to the normal Gooner, which is at Phil Gooner 25. Want to say hello to him. But we must say a big thanks to Darren Berry, who is at dberry1974, who has designed the site, spent hours doing the site, and all he gets in his ear is me and Gimli going on at him and saying, can you do this, can you do that? So if anybody
don't like that.
Yeah, if anybody wants a website building, go to dbwebstart.com, mention us for your 0% family discount. I'd also like to give a big thanks to Rufus, who is at RufusAFC. All the beautiful artwork you've seen on the website, apart from the top trump cards, was done by him. And a little tickle to my mate Carl at EndIFWEB, who hosts the website and did me a deal on that because he's a lovely bloke. Yeah, so without those three people, we wouldn't be where we are now.
No, exactly. A big thank you to all of those. And finally, Geoff.
I think it's unfair, honestly. I speak to so many fantastic people that it would be really unfair if I just whittle a few names out, one or two. I love them all, honestly. Fantastic.
We'll give a little shout out to GC because he can't be with us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but apart from you guys are great as well, of course.
Although I've heard a little rumour that if people carry on listening to this podcast, they might be able to hear a little snippet of me, Danny and GC that was recorded. It's going to seem like it was recorded now, but it was recorded maybe sometime in the not so long ago past. So stay tuned for that at the end of this publication.
That sounds juicy and informative.
It does. But just before we go, I'd like to...
We need to say thank you to who did the music.
Oh yes, I'd like to thank Gooner Girl Kate and for the music on the podcast. I'd also like to say a big hello and give a shout out to the Gooner Girls podcast, who still remain our sisters, even though we are under a different name.
Brilliant podcast.
Absolutely fantastic. They do wonderful things over there. And the last shout out of the night goes to Gunnerstown, specifically Dave Seeger, Andy Wood, and Jeremy Labor, who all do fantastic blogs from Gunnerstown. So go and check them out.
Yeah, and remember, people, if you want a website designing, dbwebstart.com, go and support Darren, because he's done so much to help us out. Cheers, Darren.
Does that mean he's going to knock out another 20 quid off the price?
Well, it's only down to a £5 already, so that means he'll owe us 15 quid for the pleasure of doing it.
Should we do another, 5 minutes, see if we can get it down to £1.50?
No, I think that's everything.
Right, with that done then, I'd like to thank all my guests tonight who will be getting two of these guys on, including GC, to join me and Danny every week. So it's not going to be the last you hear of them. You'll be hearing them on a regular basis. So a big thank you to Geoff, FK, Steve, and I would thank Danny, but he's just like part of the furniture, really.
Meow.
And finally, this has been a Bergkamp Wonderland podcast. I'd like to thank you all very much for listening, and remember, keep it Arsenal. Good night.
Nanu, silly bitches!
Hello and welcome to the Bergkamp Wonderland podcast extra. Seeing as Mr. Shewalk, Gav, wasn't with us for the main bit, we have decided to record a little bit extra on the end. So hello, Gav.
Hiya!
And how are you doing this evening?
Yeah, no, like I say, firstly, I'd like to apologise for not being on the main pod this week due to various family commitments and the fact that I'm currently in Nigeria. I'm doing a church thing out in Nigeria to make sure that the good, loving Christian folk of Nigeria are quite happy with gay rights. That's where I am now as you're recording. But like I say, I do apologise. I'm sure you had a good time tonight. I'm very sorry I didn't get to hear Geoff talk complete bollocks about how Wenger's God. But like I say, that's life really. I'm looking forward to the current season. Hopefully by the time people are listening to this, we've signed some 17-year-old French cripple for £4.50.
I think we've already done that.
Actually, no, Sonogo scored a hell of a goal. He had a good game the other night when they played Turkey.
I didn't see the game. I saw his goal. Do you know what I mean? I'm not being funny. Dan, you would have scored that.
It could have come off of any one of my withered appendages and gone in.
Well, exactly. Do you know what I mean? All he had to do was really stand there and let the ball hit him. Do you know what I mean? The keeper jumped over the ball rather conveniently.
Did it end 4-0?
I ain't got a clue. I just saw the goal on some fucking caught offside clip or whatever.
But on the bright side, if that was Diaby and the ball had come in and actually hit him, he'd have probably been injured for, the next 6 or 7 months?
Years. Would have been straight down to the hospital with him.
Like I say, the other thing that I'm a bit gutted about, that I'm not on the pod when it's actually been recorded, is the fact that obviously everyone is still waiting for Higuain to actually make his appearance in London. I heard he's on a slow boat from Madrid. He's
going the long way round.
He's currently just off Cornwall. He's the latest reports. There's various ITKs on Twitter who are actually reporting from their beach house on the southwest coast. They've spotted him on a Spanish fishing trawler. They're sure it's him, and they're sure he's going to sign any second now.
That's breaking news. Only on the Bergkamp Wonderland podcast. Not only is it a first ever, it's also an exclusive to go with the first ever. This couldn't really have got any better, could it?
Oh dear, I tell you, I'm moist. I'm slipping around here like a freshly caught trout.
Or all I would have to do is poke you, and you'd slide along a vinyl floor.
It's a dream. So, Gav, do you want to tell us what sort of stuff you've got planned for the specials that we're doing? I know we mentioned it in the news thing that we released last week, last Thursday. We released it.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'd have listened to that last week as well. Yeah, like I say, hopefully, Dan, me and you getting together with the Arsenal History boys. We're going to do a nice special on that, which will be, I'm sure, like I say, they're always digging up newspaper articles from the early 1800s, from the early 1900s, etc. about the Arsenal. So that'll be very interesting to do as always. And hopefully, I'll get a few of the older chaps from over the Arsenal to have a chat about the word Gooner, where it originated from. What life was like as a football supporter in the late 70s and the 80s when things weren't as easy going as they are now is probably the best way to put it. But like I say, hopefully I can get a couple of chaps on to tell a few stories, good and bad really, about what sort of happened back then as well. So maybe that'll be, I don't know, you could call it an education or maybe it'll be like a history thing. But like I say, I think if you know where the Arsenal come from, you know where they're going to. And, some of the stories that the older chaps, have got and how the fact that people like the National Front never got a hold over the Arsenal because of certain people and because of certain attitudes with groups of supporters that stuck together. I think it's worth repeating and worth repeating all the time, really.
So it'd be the sort of stuff that Danny Dyer would be spinning in his grave if he ever hears it, because it's nothing like the shit he goes on about.
No, not at all. Do you know what I mean? Whatever Malcolm comes out with,
Malcolm Smith.
Malcolm Smith comes out with, I'm sure he's pretty irrelevant, to be honest with you. But I mean, like I say, it is the fact that a lot of people, they see the films Green Street and Football Factory and blah blah blah, and things weren't really like that from my memory. And I'm sure, people have got a lot more better memories and more. How can I put it?
Accurate.
More. Not sure if accurate's the word. More respected enough to give opinions.
Yeah.
On what happened and what was the truth about certain events that happened and the fact that really for want of a better expression, the Arsenal for a long period of time gave as good as they got. And in a lot of the films and the books, etc., it's always Arsenal supporters were a pushover, blah blah blah, and that really, really weren't the case. So, like I say, if you can get a few people on there to have a chat about it and tell a few stories, about certain events, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but that's that, and that's what football was like in the 70s and 80s. It wasn't just about 90 minutes on a pitch on a Saturday. It was about before the game and after the game and often during the game as well. And that's part of our history and part of culture, which modern football doesn't really have anymore. So, it's worth having a chat about it. And I think it hopefully be quite interesting for people to hear.
Yeah, 'cause I don't know about Gimli, but that's something I know nothing about.
No, I don't have a clue on it either. And I think it would be nice to enlighten the people that listen to this podcast, regardless of whether you've been an Arsenal fan for 50 years or 30 years or 10 years or even just a couple of years. Hopefully we try to bring a little banter. We hope to educate people all at the same time. And from my point of view, I don't think there's anybody better than Gav to come in and host a podcast on entirely that issue.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I don't want anyone to get me wrong. I'm not a fucking hard man. I'm not a fucking hooligan, and I'm nothing of the sort. But like I say, I know people, and you listen to stories of people in pubs, and I've got friendly with over the years, and know these kind of people, and some of the stories, are bloody funny. Do you know what I mean? So it's worth actually listening to some of these funny stories, like where EIE come from is quite an amusing story on its own. Why the fact that we started to be called Gooners, or where the herd come from. They're pretty amusing stories, just generally out of taking the piss out of things.
Also, Gav, sorry, I know a lot of people some people refer to themselves as Gooners, some people refer to themselves as Gunners, and there is a reason behind that, and hopefully we'll let everybody know what that difference is and why people prefer to be called different things and everything that went on around the Arsenal around those times.
Yeah, it was, I mean, don't get, again, please don't, anybody listening to this, don't get me wrong. I mean, I was a 14-year-old in 1986 who had a very rude awakening a few times on a few home games and all away games, and was sort of lucky the fact that I had some decent Arsenal supporters around me, or gooners, as you'd probably call them back then, around me, who made sure I didn't end up with my head caved in. So, I'm not, professing like I'm one of the top boys. Very, very, very far from it. Like I say, I just know a few people with some interesting stories, and hopefully it'll make an interesting podcast.
And unlike the 14-year-olds of nowadays, whose only worry is if they're going to get mauled by Gunnosaurus Rex, your days were a lot more interesting. And we're not trying to glorify it. We're just educating people because, like me and Gimli have said, we know fuck all about it, but it's a very interesting topic.
Oh, don't. Sometimes I think because I was brought up in sort of like the east of London, I had to go through Bethnal Green and Mile End every home game. And as people know, when we're at home, West Ham were at home. And sometimes the fuckers used to wait for us. So, I mean, they used to wait for us at Mile End, like 12 o'clock on a Saturday. And, there's 3 or 4 of you getting on the train. And it comes to Mile End, and you're thinking, please no. Do you know what I mean? And like sometimes, there'd be like, upwards of sort of 30, 40 West Ham supporters sometimes waiting for you at Mile End to try and spot, someone in an Arsenal shirt or someone who looked like an Arsenal supporter to have a fucking row with. But there you go. Like I say, I know our lot have done similar things either way, but, all's fair enough and more. But like I say, it's not like that these days. And, thank God it's not. But sometimes I think because it's not, does the atmosphere and, is there less of a hostile atmosphere because it isn't like that anymore?
Yeah, good.
So,
I don't know.
To change the topic of conversation, and because this will be the first podcast that in full that people listen from us, you've got adversaries in FK and Geoff and Lord Hillwood. So who are you looking forward to sparring with on this season?
Oh, I don't wonder who that would be.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I haven't spent a lot of time chatting with FK, but we have a little bit of banter on Twitter every now and then, and I know he's up Arsenal's arse, so that'd be quite amusing. Geoff gets himself in all heaps of trouble by spouting out, I might know this, but I might know that, and I'm not telling you this and not telling you that, but this might happen and that might not happen. He does himself no favours, but he's a lovely, lovely fella, apart from the fact that he likes reach rounds with Arsene Wenger. And Stevie Boy, Lord Hillwood, who at my last gaff, I think it must have been just over a year ago now. Yeah, it must have been about 18 months ago. We went out and had a few beers, and he slept on my couch for a couple of nights. And I've been chatting to the fella for about 10 years, and yeah, we've had our disagreements about certain things, and we've had rows and bust ups. But the times we've had out on the piss, we've always had a good time and a good giggle. And he knows his onions, especially at boardroom level. He's someone that I deeply respect the opinion of most of the time. And apart from being a bald fat fucker, he's a really nice bloke.
And also, we were saying on the one last week that the announcement one about that podcast that never was, where you and Pedro Legrove, where you two went at it, and it was absolutely brilliant. So you're looking forward to? I think he will be coming back on. Hopefully, looking forward to round 2, part 2, doing that again.
Yeah, no, I mean Pedro is a nice bloke. I mean, he's one of 2 blogs that I read, and it's quite amusing, really, that the 2 blogs I read are probably written by 2 people that absolutely fucking detest me. The Grove and Angry from N5.
He's coming on.
Yep.
Yeah, who like I say, I know he don't fucking particularly like me, never responds to me or anything, but his blogs are actually generally very, very good as well. But yeah, no, I mean, like I say, I'm happy to have a chat and have a debate, and I think everybody knows that I don't really mince my words too much, and if I think something's got to be said, it's worth saying, and hopefully the people that listen to the blogs actually like to hear a bit of a tear up as well, because if everybody's sitting there and everybody's getting on and being nicey to each other, all right, it can be funny sometimes, but people like taking a side of things. Do you know what I mean? People like to hear a debate. People like to hear people with different views, and knowing the fact that they're being respectful about it, and knowing the fact at the end of it, they'll shake hands and say, yeah, fair play. Do you know what I mean? Let's get on with it. And knowing the fact that at the end of the day, I hate the expression, but we're all Arsenal supporters. So so like I say, it'd be good to chat to Pedro and Phil as well.
No, it will be definitely. I think what you're trying to say is, like, when we did on the old podcast, you versus Geoff and the anti and the pro, it was all very, very, I wouldn't say heated, but there was a lot of disagreement there. However, you didn't have to shout and swear at each other, and at the end of it, you walked away, you shook hands, and you have an immense amount of respect for each other. When I think in today's day and age, with things like Twitter, it's very easy to call someone that horrible C word that we're not going to mention, and just use the block button. Whereas if you've got a point to make your point and let someone come back at you as why they think you are wrong.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, I mean that's how it should be. And like I say, I mean, hopefully with the people that we've got coming on the podcast next year, and the types of things and types of issues that are going to come up. Everybody at some point is going to disagree with everybody else, and everybody at some point is going to agree with everybody else. And because we've got a nice, I think that the people that we've got on as regulars and people that got lined up as guests so far, I think it's a very, very nice balance from one spectrum to the other spectrum. We've got young, we've got old, we've got the infirm, in Steve's case, and it should be hopefully make for some entertaining listening. And if we enjoy doing it, hopefully people enjoy listening to it.
Hopefully so, and that's really the aim, that we're going to sit here and we're either going to release things on a Wednesday or a Thursday. So people are always going to know that they're going to get something from us weekly on one of those days. And like I said earlier, we're going to hopefully educate and make people laugh, sometimes probably make people cry. And long live the Arsenal, and let's go into the new season.